Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Helvetica one more time, back at it again. And today we're going to be painting some wheels on the old SRT Charger. Not sure if I've posted this up on the channel yet, but this is the new Scat. Chally is no longer. It's got these pretty cool two-tone black and silver wheels on it. I'm just not too big of a fan. I was going to pull the wheels off and clean the rusty rotors up since it's been sitting a while anyways. Figured I'd throw a coat on, see how it comes out. And I already did the driver's side, and it surprisingly came out really well. So I was like, all right, might as well make a video on this in case anybody's interested on how well automotive wheel paint works. Obviously, I haven't really ran it yet to see how it holds up, but at least you guys can kind of get an idea of how the process goes and what the finished product might look like. So as you can see, this is the finished product on the driver's side. I also went ahead and threw a little plum crazy purple on the calipers. Why not, you know? While, we had it all apart. I also cleaned up the rotors like I was talking about earlier, since they've been sitting for a while. So yeah, first step, obviously, you want to rip your wheels off, pull them off the old car, get her supported nicely with some jack stands and all that good stuff. And me personally, on a car like that, I spray her off with the hose, wipe her down with the rag, and spray a couple coats on. Not too concerned, but something like this, I want to be a little more precise, so I like to get a garden hose with some fresh water and just clean this thing up real nice. Got a nice dent right there, I just noticed. That's sick. And just spray her down with some brake clean. $3 at AutoZone. On the back side, because when you're painting, some of this stuff can bleed through to the front, this rust, this brake dust, and it's just a good idea to give her a nice cleaning, before it gets too built up on there. So yeah, hit her with some brake clean, fresh water, get her cleaned up on that side, and obviously the front. The face of the wheel, you're going to want to really clean up with some sort of cleaning chemical or something to really get that grime off, and then wipe her down a couple times, spray her off with the fresh water, and then let her completely dry. What I do is hose her off with the old air compressor. Psh, psh, psh. This is the wheel paint I'm using. No sponsors or anything. My first time using this. I've always used Plasti Dip on the dailies, but I wanted something that would last a little longer and look a little more professional, so I figured why not try some VHT high temperature wheel paint. Withstands temperatures up to 250 degrees, fade and chip resistant for steel or aluminum wheels. Like I said, from what I see on this side so far, I'm loving it. I did order some black lug nuts since these are the old stock chrome capped bullshit ones that break eventually, so that'll look nice along with the black center cap that I did. And yeah, so far, I mean, this looks kind of almost looks like it was and feels like it was powder coated. I did do a gloss coat after I did the bronze, or whatever you want to call this color, and that's just going to be this VHT high temperature, same brand, just gloss clear protective finish, chip resistant for rims and hubcaps, just to kind of add an extra layer of protection and give it a little bit of a glossy shine on it. Why not? So yeah, I'm going to finish cleaning this wheel up, and then I'm going to go ahead and start applying the first coats. Alrighty, looking much better here. And on the back side, I mean, got a couple spots where there's like some rust or whatever that is, corrosion, that's kind of going to be there regardless of what you do, but at least you don't have that thick film of brake dust on there anymore, which is what we're going for. Okay, and I just wanted to show you guys how I mask this off. You can use a deck of playing cards, or you can use tape. I have done both in the past, but I find that the tape, I don't know, I'm doing it this time a little bit wider than the cards, whatever. Cards might be a little faster sticking them in, but I don't know, I feel like this is just a little thinner. It gives you a little more chance to get kind of around the lip of the wheel. Okay, so what I'm going to do, take a piece of tape, maybe 3 to 4 inches long. Any longer than that, and it's going to start to kind of crinkle on you. And you're just going to basically get the 2 flat edges and slide it over the top of the wheel like this. Kind of rock it back and forth till you feel it bottom out as far as it'll go, and then just streak that underside. Boom. Now you got a perfect masked off little edge there. You won't get any paint on the tire. I'm going to be changing tires anyways, but I figured I'd do this just so I don't have a bunch of overspray all over the place. But if you're not changing your tires anytime soon, then you're definitely going to want to mask her off. I'm going to finish up doing this and then get to putting the first coat on. Now, a couple things before we get started. Don't forget about your valve stem. Whether or not you want to paint that or wrap that with tape, I'm just going to paint it. I don't care. I got a new valve stem cap for it, and I'm going to have them put new valve stems in when I have new tires put on. Now, I have 2 ways of doing this, of applying the paint. And the first one is actually starting from the outside rim out, getting a nice light coat each time. Do that a couple times, light coat once around, wait 3 to 5 minutes, do another coat a couple times till it starts coming in, and work your way to the center. I like doing that on wheels that don't have too much of this going on. So I did that on one of them when I did the driver's side, and then I did the other method that I like to do on the other one, which is trying to do light coats on these hard to get areas so you don't have a lot of overspray and thick coats here after you do, you know, the base. Or if you do the out to in, you might get some thick coats here. So I'll go light, about 8 to 10 inches away from the wheel, and try to get the coat started here. Maybe aim for in between here, and the edges of that sprayer are gonna kind of get paint on those hard to reach areas, especially in here in these grooves. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the first coat, kind of aiming in the center here and trying to get these hard to reach areas, and then probably do a coat of the whole outside, work my way in, and then come back to recoating these hard to reach areas here with these little spiky things. So let me just give you guys a quick demonstration of what I mean. About 8 to 10 inches away. You never wanna, you know, hit this unless you're moving the can, otherwise you'll get drip and run and all kinds of crazy stuff. I wanna get that sprayer sideways because it's kind of an up and down fan sprayer. So I'm shooting for here and here. Couple streaks. I don't want to see that paint ever get wet. See how you can kind of see a little bit of a glare on there? I don't ever want to get it to a point to where I see wetness, because then I know I've got too much paint in one area and it can cause runs, take too long to dry at a different pace than the other paint. And I'm just going to do this several times until I either see a little bit of wetness starting or until I feel like I've got enough coats to wait 3 or 5 minutes before the next ones. Okay, so I stopped because I got a little bit of a heavy coat there. You can see a little bit of that shine. Once you see that, just stop in that area, move to a different one, or just pause and give it a break for 3 or 5 minutes and let the first light couple of coats set up. I'm gonna go ahead and do a rim coat like I was talking about now. Just to kind of, and I like to do it from the outer edge at an angle, kind of like a 45-degree angle up. So now I'm gonna do the lip, and basically what I was telling you about earlier, I'm going to do it at a 45-degree angle, kind of up at the wheel, so that that lip gets a nice coating on the outer edge of it, and that paint is able to wrap all the way around it. I'm just going to go like this in a sweeping motion, never stopping the can while I'm holding the button. I'm moving a little closer here, about 5 to 10 inches away, I'd say. Just got to be careful with your distance, otherwise you'll get runs. Let's do this about 2 or 3 more times around the wheel. And there we go. Let that set up for a minute, and then I'm going to come back to these inside hard to get areas and start working those again. And like I said, kind of aiming for the center with that spray. Imagine it's like this, spraying. I'm going to want to kind of go like this at an angle to get those inside edges, and then I'm going to aim at the center when I'm sweeping to kind of get these face edges here, especially in here. You know, you're going to want that sweep kind of like this. But be careful, because you get buildup on the edge here while you're trying to get this area. So there's a little bit of a tricky aspect to it, but once you get the feel and you kind of see how the paint's going on, start to get the hang of it pretty quickly. It's not rocket science, obviously. So here's a quick demonstration on these hard to get areas that I was talking about. You know, along here, 5 to 8 inches away, sweeps back and forth. Kind of aiming for the center of that hole, but also trying to make sure that fan motion spreads out, and you don't want to go too much. You know, you don't want to get it wet like I was talking about. So I'll let that one set up and just kind of go around the wheel and do the same thing with all of them again. So then I'm going to go ahead and fill in these areas nice and slowly after some of this other stuff sets up, and once I feel like I've gotten to a good point on getting the inside edges here, obviously you're going to want to take a flashlight, shine it in there, make sure you got full coverage. Then kind of do the center area. You know, don't worry about this stuff when you're doing the center area. You just want to make sure you get a full coat on that so there's not any edge spots that are showing the old color. So I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest in, and yeah. And so now that I have the gold coverage basically where I want it, it's pretty much complete. I let it dry, and I begin to put on this gloss coat, which for some reason the push thing on these cans is extremely hard. So I think they want you to do a light coat. As you can see, I have a little bit of a run there. I'm going to try to kind of fix it up a little bit. You want to kind of keep your distance, again, 8 to 12 inches, I'd say, with this gloss stuff, and just kind of go real light, maybe one pass per area, and let it dry, because it went a little too thick on this one, and I'm getting some runs. So yeah, and basically how I determine how much I'm putting on each wheel is 1 can of this anodized stuff per wheel of the main color, and then I get 2 of these cans. So I have 4 cans of that color and 2 cans of the gloss protective coat. So I use 1 full can on 2 wheels, and then I use 1 whole can of that color per wheel, if that makes any sense. All right, and now so that I've now that I've got the gloss coat done, she's looking pretty good. Pretty much ready to just cure up and get put back on the car. I'm gonna go ahead and start on the back wheel now. Got that taken off. I also threw a coat of paint on the calipers. Kind of the same process. Clean it up, scrub her down, sand her down, and apply a couple good coats and protective finish if you want. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video. If you have any tips, tricks, recommendations, leave them in the comments or whatever. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned to see when this thing is done. Having a camshaft put in it and some new lifters and a pair of headers. Should be quite intriguing. I guess we'll find out. Thanks for watching.